if you're unwilling to learn, that means you're unwilling to change, and you're unwilling to be wrong, and unwilling to be different, and unwilling to try. We have organic thoughts that come through, and then we have additional thoughts that judge the thoughts. And he was like, honestly, bro, I don't like you, and I don't consider you my friend.
Whoa.
Now, I didn't think about, so I think that moment impacted me way more than I actually thought as an adult.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Highest Version Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Philivong, and on this podcast, we talk about falling in love with the process of getting better every day, becoming the highest version of ourselves. Today's guest is the man, the myth, the legend, the self-improvement guru himself. We welcome back Vattana Thach. He is many things. I really call him the master of many. But, without further ado, he doesn't need no more introduction. Let's welcome back the student of life, the dancer, the choreographer, the entrepreneur, and most name and title of all, the modern day avatar.
Yeah, you said it. Master of all four elements.
What's up, dude? Oh, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming on and coming on to this season.
Yes,
obviously,
sir.
You can see we have a new setup here.
Yeah,
and
fire.
We are looking more professional now. But yeah, man, I'm so excited to get into what we're talking about today, because I think with everyone going or attacking their goals, like we're still in Q1.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to dive into habits, systems, and things that can help people get to unlearn a lot of the things or unlearn the current things that they're doing so that they can get towards their goals.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, how is your mental health?
Pretty strong. Just like last time. Well, not just like last time. But yeah, I think my answer at least will always be hopefully will always be like this. And we have our dips and stuff. But that's just part of life and just part of learning and working through difficult things in order to, go up and downs. So it's great. Yeah.
I mean, we love to hear that your mental health is always going on a trajectory up, and of course ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a one single event or something that will dip it a little bit, but we all know how to get back up there.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of difficult things, we all know that when people start to work on their goals, they go to this level of discomfort and uncomfortableness.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, a lot of people don't want to go through that. Why do you think people don't really want to sit in that discomfort to achieve the thing that they want to achieve?
Big concept. I mean, I think that just as human beings, we don't want to be uncomfortable or be hurt, any of those things. And so I think it's a natural feeling. Obviously, it's a natural feeling. It's a natural response to something that we may not want to do, or that is something that is hard, or whatever it is. So first, I do think it's natural. And then obviously you can throw in some traumas in there as well to make things extra hard. It's just easier. It's an easier temporary thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it's natural. I think to some degree, learning to move through that is something that you can learn to develop better. Your genes, whatever you're kind of blessed with from the jump, you may have more resilience than another person. That's the luck part that I talk about. And then also the environment that you grow up in and how you interpret the environment, how it shapes you, is also luck, because you're not necessarily super conscious yet, and you're super young. So depending on those decisions too, that's going to obviously have an impact way down the line,
right?
On how you attempt to achieve goals. So all of that, when you're a kid, you got things working against you, you got things working for you.
Right. I agree with you that as humans, our brains want to be safe all the time, and that we want to be comfortable. And who doesn't want to lay in bed all day and just sit back, watch anime or watch a movie, right? But we have to get ourselves up in order to survive. Go to a job and and fulfill like our own purpose if that's something that you believe in. Developing the skill to sit in that discomfort is something that I took away from our conversations, as in that's a skill that you were able to develop very strongly.
Mm-hmm.
How did you, from what you remember, develop that skill to sit in that discomfort knowing that there's something greater beyond it?
Oh, here's a big one. I'm not just consuming. This is actually, I can make this make sense, and maybe it'll be a big thing. One of the big things that I've been that kind of like hit me again was this idea of like, I'm kind of straying a little far, but maybe I'll come back. So the way that I think about stuff is like the eventuality of being a dad, because I think, because prior to this, it's like, how do I be a great boss? I can't say that. I don't have any employees. But that being a great boss was like a big deal for me. It's like, how do you become this person that can help improve the lives of other people? You can serve a group of people that's going to work for you, right? And then eventually it evolved into like, how can I be a great dad? There are some skills that are translatable and some that are just not, right? I'm not a dad. I don't know. But I'm like, I think there are fundamental skills that you need if you want to be as great as you possibly can be, to give this person a fair shot in the world. And I remember I was like, as I'm like just living my life, and I'm like, okay, I want to start researching media that babies and children consume today. Like, what are they watching? Yeah. Right? Because I want to understand just like what it is. Because I also, with the day when a child comes, I want to have a good grasp of what's popular culture, what can be popular culture, but then also like what may be a better thing to put on the screen for a kid so that their brain develops better, right? So I'm like, no cocoa melon. Like that is like objective brain rot, right? So that like is scary. It's not good. It takes advantage of the human brain in a way that's like not kind. And so it's going to make certain parts, like we talk about the skill tree, certain things go up and a bunch of other things are going to degrade over time, right? And if you do it at a young age, it's like that's terrible. And so I've been slowly kind of just like, I've watched like an episode of Bluey, and I was like, this is so different from like anything that I watched as a kid. I was like, the couple things I can appreciate about the show are the kids are expressing themselves and at a high level that I haven't seen in other shows, because in other shows, discipline and good behavior is in all of it. It's like, like if you step out of line, you're going to come back in line. And like these protagonists, cartoon characters, they're not perfect, but they're kind of like role models to these kids watching, right? And so most things that they do are safe. In Bluey, just one episode, not that it was like bad or anything, it was just that like the children are like fully expressing themselves, and I'm like, that's crazy. Not in this house. No, not in the house I grew up in. Like that would get shut down so fast. But there was a lesson in there. And I was like, oh, okay, they threw in a lesson. The episode was like 7 minutes long. It's a little ADHD brain. And it was kind of overstimulating. It's not a bad show, but it is very overstimulating. And I can now see like if a kid grows up that they might model that behavior. And so when I started to think like, okay, I'm like, I'll start watching some Bluey. I'll start watching this and that. Bluey's huge, right? Then I was like, I think I'm getting caught up in the wrong thing. This is where I'm going to full circle it, right? I just hit me one day, like maybe like the same day that I was thinking about this. I was like, instead of trying to curate this environment that is focused on consumption, I was like, this phrase came back into my life that I remember seeing a few times on the internet growing up, and it was create more than you consume. And when I thought about it, I was like, because if you're creating, then you're not consuming other people's stuff and creativity. And I was like, that's it. So instead of trying to find the right book, the right game, the right this, the right that, to just eat, you're taking the time to be like, to disconnect, to be with yourself and your own brain, your mind, and just do something else like that is original, that is yours, that it's like in your body. And I was like, that is better than deciding on like what shows or things, right? If your kid is out there or in a house, whatever, just like jumping into their creativity and using their mind and their body to just work through things and discover stuff, I'd rather have that instead of them constantly watching shows or playing video games or whatever. And not that any of those things are inherently bad, because that's also can be other people's form of art that they're sharing with you, that you're consuming, and that might get you inspired, right? But also a lot of it's just like commodity and exploitation and all that kind of stuff that's not good for our brains, right?
Yeah.
But everything in doses. So I was like, focus on creativity. So that just like clicked for me of like being a really high priority of like, you want to make sure that we all come out the womb with some creativity, right? And it's preserving it and making sure that it stays protected as this child grows. And so now going back 5-10 minutes to just like, we talk about skills and stuff. I'm like, because I basically chose sobriety and to learn how to be uncomfortable with my own feelings and stuff, like I was writing. I was trying to improve my social skills because I knew that they weren't great, right? And I danced and choreographed a ton. I had eras of like drawing and stuff, photography and film and a little bit of music. So like some of those things I mentioned at the end, I've dabbled in for some time and like played around with. And I also have like an entrepreneurial spirit. So I like want to eventually try to make money with stuff. I've done YouTube videos and stuff. And I'm like, that's what I've turned to most of the time. And so the thing that with me is like, I'm one of the few people that I know that's like that's the most consistently disconnected. So even growing up with the internet, obviously I'm connected all the time and a lot, but I use the term disconnected in the sense of like, I'm not consuming like media and things to understand and fit in with culture at the time.
Okay.
I'm not watching movies because someone's like, yo, this movie was so good and like you need to watch it because everyone's talking about it, or read this book or play this game or whatever. Like, yeah, I participated in popular culture just cause, but I'm not one to jump into it because everyone else is doing it. Or that it's like, you know, you feel that weird thing of like, because it always comes down to like person to person. It's like, oh, what do we talk about? It's like, hey, you see the game? I was like, bro, I don't watch football, basketball. So I don't watch any of that shit. But I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm having a good time. But I don't socially fit in that bubble at all. But I can still confidently navigate the world without knowing anything about any sports teams right now.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean of like, I don't find what is the most common ground like in culture that way and like try to connect in that way. I'm always just kind of going in the direction I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, that's interesting. And that's how I like sort of became the way that I did. And I've gotten used to not knowing entirely what's happening. And as I've gotten older, that's just become more true. I'm mostly just on YouTube, and I like secondhand consume culture of like, oh, this is what's happening with Gen Z right now, or this is the trend, like the analog trend that's happening, and I love it. And then there's like right to repair trend and privacy and people leaving Discord and all this cool stuff, and also like a lot of crappy stuff. So I have a pulse, just not directly.
I'm just trying to remember the time that you told me where you were really confident in yourself and the fact that you didn't care about those other things and value whatever you valued is what you valued, and you stuck with that. I feel like a lot of people in their 20s have a really hard time with that.
Yeah.
I guess how do you, again, we go back to skills and building habits, like where did that come from? Not where did that come from, but how did you develop that? Hey, I don't care what other people think of me, or I don't care what other people are doing. This is what I value right now, and this is what I want to stick towards to. And that's the word. Unapologetically yourself. I almost got there. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So let's be real. First answer for everything will always be luck, and then let's hone in. My parents, I chose to do. I questioned them, never disrespectfully, question them in my mind, or sometimes I try to voice it. They shut me down. And I couldn't wrap my mind around their logic around a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't. They didn't help me. And so I had to come to eventual answers through running into what I felt like were the same problems, right? I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get it. And you're not telling me why. And so eventually, because we're intelligent creatures, you observe your parents long enough, if you stick around, to just like understand a little bit. You read between the lines, you're like, oh. And even if it's not 100% factual what you're observing, you might get something that is actually true, right? And so I'm like, my parents cared too much about what other people thought. Okay, how did that affect me? Because I noticed that when I would just be myself without knowing who myself is, right? You're just expressing yourself as a person.
Right.
Oh, don't do that. That's embarrassing. Huh? What do you mean? Like, oh, kmake, that's kmai. It's like, yeah, aren't you embarrassed of like what other people think? Like, why would you do that? Stop. You hear that enough times. And then at first you're like, whether I'm just like being silly or I'm dancing or whatever I'm doing, I'm like just being weird, right? But not being harmful, just being strange, right? That you hear that enough times and it's like, yeah, I don't get it, bro. I'm like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Oh, you get embarrassed? Okay, what happens if you get embarrassed? They're not going to answer that for me, but I'm like, you're not going to die. So this whole idea of like me understanding death very early on, where it eventually hit me at 12 years old, 12, 13. Not that like I saw it or anything, right? And our parents come from war, so we hear stories and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the me clicking in my mind of like, oh, like you're my mom and I get it. You're afraid that I'm going to die. I didn't have an empathetic view. I just had like an annoyed view of like, so you want me to model your behavior and live like y'all. And I see how you guys live. There's nothing morally wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just stay in the house. Do we go out to the mall and eat and parent? Like, yeah, we do stuff. But when I asked for simple things like, can I go to the basketball court with my cousin to play ball? Nope. That's part of what killed my drive for basketball, because it's like, I liked to play, but if I'm only allowed to play in the back, like I wanted to play with real people on the courts, you know? And it's like, I pivoted from like that to like video games, and I pivoted from video games to dance. Mm-hmm. It's like, that was the transition. So disagreeing with my parents and using my brain to observe, and then instead of, and I know some people this is the thing, some people have the DNA for some reason, and everyone's circumstance is different. Disciplinary actions are different. Maybe some people get abused, whatever, I don't know. Yeah. And then if you're the way your hormones affect you, right? So I can't speak to all of that. Just for me, that I used what I had to decide that I don't agree, and I stood on those things. I wasn't an asshole about it, because that's not the culture we come from. Mm-hmm. I was just like internalized it of like, okay, yeah, I'm never gonna be like that. And I would always try, I'm like, to see if my parents would change their mind, and they like mostly don't, or they might whatever, like a little bit. But yeah, so if I didn't have my experience, then I wouldn't have been so firm. But I'm like, if my parents were different and they didn't judge me for those things and all that stuff, I think I would I'd probably be a little bit more goofy, and I would still make decisions and do these things and not be embarrassed, right? Because they're the ones teaching me in a way to be embarrassed. Granted, you can get embarrassed out in public, and like you might have a moment that can shape you. Yeah. Thankfully, I've never really like had a negative effect on my personality. Mm-hmm. If I've ever been in a situation like that. So I do think I'd somewhat still be the same. I think I'm just a little bit, because of my experience and who I am, I've been more relentless about taking stances on stuff that I believe in and that I want. Yeah. Versus I think that if my parents didn't have pushback, it would have been different. Mm-hmm. I think I just would have been free to just kind of figure stuff out. And I still think I would have chosen to be sober and stuff. Yeah. Like I have no reason to do any of that stuff. because it doesn't fall in line with like some of the core things that I believe. Yeah.
Right. I feel like the mindset that you had was early on was asking yourself why.
Yeah.
Which is obviously in Asian culture, which is like, don't say ask why. It's because I said so. And you're like, why is because I said so a valid response?
Yeah.
But when you did ask yourself why and why, it helped you figure out more about yourself and what you valued and what you believed in, because you're like, okay, why does this feel good to me? Why does this not feel good to me? Do I agree with this? Do I not? I feel like a lot of people would fall into, like I said, parent trap of, okay, I need to believe this because this is what my parents are saying. And granted, as a child, that's what you're technically supposed to do, right? You're being shaped by your parents in a way, and then you reach consciousness, of like, okay, well, why do I need to do this, and being rebellious? Yeah, we all know the stereotypical, coming up stage.
Yeah.
And it just, again, it speaks to asking yourself why a lot to understand your intentionality. And that's another skill that I feel like you have greatly is this intention. See, this is why I tell he's the self-improvement guru, or just master of intentionality.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it led you to that point, which is amazing. And I feel like that's where people need, if you feel like you're not confident in yourself and you feel like you're in a rut, you need to ask yourself why and what areas, to understand what is not making you feel so good and where you need to be. Do you not like your job? Do you not like the friends or people that you're around? Be honest with yourself and really sit alone with yourself to answer that. And if you don't, because there's so much outside noise, and you don't need that. As long as you can sit with yourself, look yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, answer all these questions. People are going to think it's weird, but it goes a long way.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to do when I was depressed too, because I was like, why am I sad? Why am I thinking such shitty thoughts about myself? Oh, it's because of parent activity being brought up in a certain way. Or I had this one experience where I was really embarrassed, or where I was emotionally or not physically abused, but emotionally, verbally abused. And helping that shape me to understand where I want to go in life. And part of that was, not being sad and finding self-worth in myself. The topic that I want to, it's kind of like a segue into it, because we talked about intentionality. We talked about sitting in that discomfort and really being unapologetic. Oh, wow. I cannot say that word. Can you help me out here? Unapologetically. Oh my God. My freaking tongue is crazy right now. But it's also the art of unlearning.
Okay.
And I want to know, what was something that you had to unlearn outside of what we already talked about to be the person that you are today?
I have a harder time being honest with people. Now, what's crazy is I'm an honest person. I love to tell stuff like it is, but I'm not like if they're like characters, I don't know, on a show or something that just like are just blunt about everything. Like, I'm not that, but I have it in me. It's in my DNA. I've had moments like that as well. I fear being too honest because I don't want a bad outcome. And I air quote the bad, because bad is subjective, outcome is that we may not be friends anymore. That's the big one. And then, or they take it the wrong way. Now, I air quote that too, because it's like, taking it the wrong way in my mind is like they misinterpreted what I said. And when they run off with that, they may or may not ever talk to me again, but they're going to take what I said in the way that they believed they heard it as a hurtful thing, and see me as a person that is maybe not so good. Right?
Yeah.
Now, but the intent, where it comes from, and delivery comes from a place of like, I care. I could care about you like a lot. I care about you a little bit, but it always comes from I care, not you.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm being honest in a way that someone, maybe in their soul they know, but no one's told them. And I'm like, I gotta tell them because there's the way that they're operating is affecting me and or other people around them in a way that they may not even no one's bringing it to their attention.
Yeah.
Okay. So because I'm just aware of people and whether people are being honest with themselves or not, I can only be around a person being dishonest with themselves for so long. So I have patience and care for people, but at some point I reach a point where I'm like, all right, if they haven't self-discovered something, or if no one in their corner has told them something, I'm probably gonna have to bring it up. One time, so this was when I was young. This is the first time it ever happened. So this is the trauma part, right? Then I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it too big back then, but I'm like, oh, maybe that's what, because I still remember it. It's vivid, and I don't remember a lot of things. So my best friend at the time, I had two. So I lived in a 2-family, and my cousin lived upstairs, and one of my cousins, also my best friend, and us three were either hanging out for a bit or like about to hang out, something like that. And then I was like, bro, like I just wanted to tell you something, and because you're my best friend, and I don't remember how I said it, so it's not even close to verbatim, but I know that I was not a dick about it, because I'm like, nah, like I love this guy, he's my best friend. And so I was like, basically people are like talking shit about you, and they say like you're mad stingy and all this stuff, right? And so I'm sick of hearing it, and I think, again, I may not have said it like this, but I think you deserve to know. And if no one's told you, well, I told you, because I think it's my responsibility. So I did that.
Yeah.
And he just freaked out, got a little like he was frantic, but a little aggressive, because he's kind of egotistic and aggressive in that way of like, huh? He's not going to hit you.
Yeah.
But it's just like, there's a word for it, but whatever. Ego, superior, in a way, prideful. Right. And so he turned to my other best friend, and he was like, oh, like, do you have a problem with me? And he was like, honestly, bro, I don't like you, and I don't consider you my friend.
Whoa.
Now, I didn't think about how that might have affected him. So in hindsight, I'm like, yo, this is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, oh, like, because he's just being honest with him.
Yeah.
We're just being honest, right? And I'm like, I don't got a problem with him. I thought that was clear.
Yeah.
And then in that moment, he like called people.
Oh,
I don't remember how long that went for. It could have been as quick as a minute or like a few minutes. And he was just like basically calling people to be like, oh, you got a problem with me? It wasn't like that. It was just like, he's learning about this. So now he's asking around. And then he just like walked out after like a couple minutes. And then basically, I've seen him a few times since, and I invited him to my 30th as well. But it's funny because I'm like, I always talk about this. I'm like, I would love to have this conversation with him someday.
Yeah.
The time and place has just never worked. Even when I've tried to coordinate with him, like one-on-one or whatever, he was surprised he was invited to my 30th. So now I'm like, oh, maybe he realized that like he was in the wrong for something.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, yeah, it was just kind of like all of a sudden, and in my mind, I didn't think it was over at that point. It just more time went, and it was like, because we danced in the same crew and all that kind of stuff, right? Just as more time went, it just didn't hear from him, and just that time span got longer, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's just is what it is, right? Yeah. I never reached out. He never reached out to me, so it's just like, okay. So I think that moment impacted me way more than I actually thought as an adult. Acceptance, control. So it's like, I don't live to please people. I'd like for people to like me though, but I'm also okay with you just hating me.
Okay.
But every person is like, it's worth me trying to get them to like me, but I will not sacrifice myself to do that. So I do have boundaries.
Yeah.
I think I lucked out on that because I like that for myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm not like, yeah, fuck everybody. I'm just going to do whatever I want, and you either like me or don't. And it's like, I have that in me, but I also like, nah, like people are people. I love people. This is one of my favorite things to do. And it's like, I want to have a good conversation. I want to go there and share things and like have a good time. And I'm okay to disagree on things or whatever, all that, right? Like it's all cool with me.
Yeah.
I'm usually not the person to walk away from a friendship or a relationship or anything like that. It's the other person, because my theory, I don't think I'm like the perfectest, most dateable guy or anything like that. So keep that in mind. I'm like, if you just don't like me, I get that. I also know that a part of it is like people are just dishonest with themselves, and I'm very honest. And people care a lot, especially as I was growing up, care too much about social acceptance, and I don't. But I also recognize where I don't fit in, and I'm like, that's okay. I don't need to fit in. So I feel like I might wait too long, or wait a long time to like tell someone something. Part of me is hoping they just figure it out. I'm not all knowing, right? I'm just like, I just know when someone's being dishonest, or if someone is doing something that is affecting a ton of people and they don't recognize a pattern yet. Like I genuinely want to do it in a way that is like, no, like I'm just saying this because like if you notice, and sometimes it's those conversations are not easy, especially if the other person's willing to actually like go back and forth with me, because sometimes the other person might get heated and like think that I'm the problem, right? And it gets my heart pumping and stuff, whatever. And that happens especially if like I really, really care about the person, we're really close, we have a long friendship, whatever. And that happens, and it's scary because I'm like, yo, at any moment it could turn from like, oh, you know, we have this like ongoing friendship to just like being done at any moment. Yeah. Right. I think that that's the right thing to do, and the right, like if that's what it's meant to be, that's what it should be, right? But in some ways I feel like maybe I'm stalling. Maybe sometimes like maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I need to be out of your life so that you can figure it out, because maybe I was a crutch. Sometimes I get to that point too. When I especially get to that, I'm like, hey, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm not helping you anymore. Maybe you've gotten too used to me, because we're creatures of habit, right? We can get used to anything. And so if you're used to interacting with someone a certain way, maybe it was working, and maybe it was working in a positive way for both of you for a little bit, and then after some time it's like, oh yeah, it's not now. This dynamic has outgrown you as a person. Sorry, just it's not healthy.
Have you taken a look at the sample size of how many people left versus like how many people stuck around?
No, not like sat down and really, but I'm sure that might be like something that could help. If that's what you're getting at.
I think, yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. Because when I was talking with my therapist, I was talking about how like negative thoughts and stuff like that. She was like, your sample size is like, it could go either way, two ways, right? She's like, one person tells you you're bad, and you think that's what everybody's thinking. Is that true or not? And I'm like, no. Okay. Well, you have 10 other people that say you're the most amazing and beautiful person, whatever. Like, that's a sample. Like, you're looking at the wrong sample size. Yeah. But in terms of yours, obviously you had a lot of these conversations. So looking at, okay, what's the sample size of how many people have left, sample size of how many people that stuck around. When we think about friendships though, do you really want like a lot of people in that circumstance? Because if you do, that's fine. But there's a lot of people that may just not be honest with you, or there's a bad side of it. But if your sample size of the people that you with, and those are the ones that stick around, kind of say, it kind of just tells you something, right? Of these are the people that I want to surround myself with, and that's okay. Other people will come and go. You just won't put enough energy towards them. So yeah, maybe looking at the sample size might be, and I know your wording of like, oh, they can't hang. Yeah. I feel like it's more of like, either they don't want to open their minds up to other people, and just looking at the also like delivery per person, I guess you can say too, because how I may say one thing to one person is going to be different to another person. For example, I do have a friend who is on the sensitive side. Yeah. So I would curate my words. I'll still get to the same point and intention, but I would say it differently versus someone that I know doesn't give a fuck about anything. So I'm more blunt with them because I'm like, I know you can take it. Yeah, yeah. My perspective on that is, I don't think I'm being dishonest. Yeah. I think I'm just saying I'm making the same sandwich just in a different layer or different order. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all that to say, I guess looking at the sample size of that fear and realizing, okay, does it work out more in my favor or does it not?
Mm.
And then reflecting from there, which you're very good at.
It's a tricky one. And maybe I'll, as a thought experiment and emotions, just like attempt it just to, because it feels very like, it's not super clear to me in my brain of like the place in which people fall categorically. Because I'm like, some of the people, when I'm like, oh, I'm still friends with them 10 years later, right? Those are like examples of like, I've been honest with certain things, right? Because our relationship has prompted me to continue to be honest in certain ways. And we've evolved together in certain ways. And then some people, we can never get to that stage. But also some people I'm honest with, whatever, and then I'm not tight with them. So that's what makes it a little like, yeah, some people like I still have good relationships with, but it's like, for me, it's not that deep. For them, it might be like, yo, I really respect this guy. He's a good guy. And then on my end, I'm like, they're cool.
Yeah. It's always going to be different.
And I'm thankful that, you know, we can be friends and all the things. And so it could just be like that.
Yeah.
And so when I think of like writing it out and like weighing it and stuff, I just know it's going to be a little bit all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's hard to,
but it's cool. I like that. Yeah.
It's a lot of it's not black and white, I guess. You can say.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are unlearning to have the fear of a bad outcome because you're basically trying to not predict the future in a way. So in that, you still want to be,
it's okay. It's a little confusing.
You want to be apologetically yourself.
Unapologetically. I'm so sorry for being me, bro.
No. I just can't say the word. You want to be unapologetic. Unapologetic. UNAPOGL. Unapologetically. Wow. Yourself, but not sacrifice. Yeah, that. But be okay with whatever outcome that comes out your way.
Yeah.
I
want to get into that space of fully accepting, because I do believe that. I'm like, I shouldn't. Why would I withhold?
Yeah.
What's something basically in my body that I'm uncomfortable with because I'm afraid to tell you.
Yeah.
So I got to learn how to unlearn keeping it in and just letting it out. I think if people were interested in what I was saying in my story, like, that's cool. Sometimes I feel like I say a whole lot of nothing. So I'm going to attempt, maybe it'll be really short in the podcast, of like, talked quite a bit about skills. So if I'm going to be like practical and like remove some luck or all of it, it's like, what can you do with the cards that you have? Like, what are some practical things that you can take on today? Which is probably what you were asking us at the beginning. But when I really think deeply about it, I'm like, I equate it to these things, because I'm gonna take it back for a sec. Because when I was younger, I would preach what you're asking me for, thinking that would help people, without realizing all of the things that are unique to me. And so it doesn't work for most people. And it's like, oh, well, all you got to do is, and I'm like, no, it's not all you got to do. So that's why as I've gotten older, it's like recognizing and talking about luck, because I think maybe that's the critical thinking part, where I'm asking the person to take a moment to look at the cards they were dealt, because all you're doing is then trying to recall stuff that maybe you forgot or don't want to remember. You just do that, and it'll bring you places. I've just been doing that for a long time. So if you haven't done that yet, it's like, skill acquisition is one thing, and I think that I'm gonna list some stuff. That's part of it. The other portion really always is just ask why and reflect on the past, and like, not from a self-deprecating place, but just to understand. Right? You're not trying to do anything but to understand. From there, you can look to, I want to evolve this or change that or improve this. Right? You can layer in other things, because I understand that going into places that hurt, you can get stuck there. If you don't want to get stuck, just let the things be instead of, I don't know how to explain this because I do it in my head all the time. We have organic thoughts that come through, and then we have additional thoughts that judge the thoughts. That is what we're actively doing. So you want to learn how to remove the judgment around the thoughts, because your natural thoughts they might be really shitty and or good. Those are natural and they need to come out. That's your guide to like unpacking and working through your shit, and taking the time to handle that in doses in the way that is possible for you. And so sometimes people struggle with that because they have that extra layer of judging these things. So you got to learn how to take that part out. That's an additional voice that you just picked up along the way. So you want to be able to get to the real meat of things. Because if the additional voice is what you do is you do a dance. Because the judgment because now it's like you got the real shit and then you got the judgment and they're just doing this together. The judgment's not, we can say not real, because you have subconscious control over this and you're replaying it unconsciously. That's why it's a circle. But if you can remove the judgment piece, then you allow what's been buried forever to just unpack. And you don't need to do anything. You just let it unpack. But sometimes unpacking is dangerous. So that's why I've said this before, maybe not on here. If you're unpacking or you're working through something, at the same time you're learning about yourself. You have to, from time to time, like, people have their limits and you don't know yours until you try. But sometimes our limits can be dangerous. And so you want to do it in a way where you start to learn about yourself, but you practice caution. Caution is, if you know yourself, which if you're listening to this, you're 20, 30, whatever, you know some of the shitty things that you feel and that you've done, right? When you get really uncomfortable, you probably do something bad to yourself or to another person. When you unpack your feelings and emotions, the stuff that's just there, you're going to do some of that. You're going to want to do some of that stuff. So those are like danger points. And if you don't have, I don't know what it is, the something to like work through that safely, you need somebody else. You need some level of support, protection, accountability so that you can safely maneuver through icky feelings and you just keep processing them. I mean, a therapist is, helpful in that regard. You don't need to take the feelings right away and do something with it. You just got to unpack them, because eventually the ones that are buried deeply will kind of like fade out. If you've never done this before, probably don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I believe. I believe that's how that works, just because I've done it a lot and have conversations and stuff. That's magic. Skill acquisition. So, because we just talked about like reflecting and feelings and how these things come out, right? So that's like that needs to always happen. That you need to just do. It's part of being a human being if you want to have a good time. Skill acquisition would just be things like, okay, how I see it is the bosses and the tough battles that I'm going to keep going back to, like, these are your feelings, right? There's lots of scary bosses and crazy things in there, right? You must, if you want to make this easier and like, because if you want to make it a little bit easier and you want to be equipped to solve the problems, you have to go get some skills to help you endure through it, right? So that's the point of like developing certain things that are good for your mental health or whatever, whether that's like going to the gym and things like that, right? So it's like stuff that you do in real life to help build certain things. So like eating clean and sleeping and working out, like those all sound boring and like, yeah, we need to do them. But if you do them, it gives you just more energy to have the endurance to take stuff on, right? That's super basic. So the more healthy things you do, the more endurance you have to do the hard stuff. That's like, think of it in that regard, as like the basic building blocks for how much energy I can put into this. And then the other stuff would just be like literal things of like, one of my favorite things I've been kind of saying the past couple of years that I've learned in this relationship that I'm in. You probably chop all this shit down.
No, it's okay. Keep going.
Yeah, my skill acquisition is learning. I think is one of the most important values or principles that I think everyone should have. I think that's a non-negotiable. I can counter that point to like ignorance is bliss, and if you only know this much, like that version, which is like what everyone's becoming, is like it's constantly looking for hits in life and it feels good and you can live in that forever, right? You can go to the grave in that. and you'd probably feel fine. And there's some dystopian shit out there that like shows you what that could look like. That's not what I'm trying to do. And I'm not advocating for that. But you could live a life like that. So my argument is like for learning, I think as long as you value learning, that means you're practicing it in some way. And if you do that, I personally think that what is human nature, and if we're just talking about it, like it is human nature, but again, just like anything else that maybe that is natural to us, how you come out the womb and then how it gets shaped and stuff. If it's a skill that you have to like rebuild or like really get cranking on, learning to me, I think is S tier and probably number one, because we talk about like patience and work at whatever all that stuff, right? I'm like, what are we talking about? We're talking about learning. You're trying to learn and acquire something new and different. So learning, in my opinion, unless there's another thing, is like peak. Because if you're unwilling to learn, that means you're unwilling to change, and you're unwilling to be wrong, and unwilling to be different, and unwilling to try. Learning equals new. New equals something else in your life will change because you learned something new, and some things might leave because it's old, because the new thing replaces the old thing. And that's just like life over and over. And hopefully the new things that you're choosing will make you feel better in your body. Like that's what we're aiming for in this podcast, and like what I'm talking about of like, we want to feel great in our bodies, not from a dopamine standpoint, but from I can take whatever the world throws at me and I can like feel good about who I am like every day. No stimulants, no nothing. Just me. As long as I'm sleeping, eating, and taking care of myself, like I don't need all these extra things to feel good about myself. Like that's, to me, that's what it means to like when you value learning and you're intaking things to improve your overall like vitality. The only thing that I'll put right before learning that I always remember after is curiosity. If you don't stay curious, then why the fuck should you learn anything? So sometimes where it's like life, right? You're like, you lose your curiosity. So I think if you've lost that, so whether it's like, oh, I'm trying to redevelop or improve my willingness to learn, or I'm not curious about anything right now. It's like, if you're not, you just try things until you redevelop curiosity. Because if you expose yourself to a bunch of new different things in real life and like go down different rabbit holes, you'll rewire that curiosity part in your brain. It's like, ooh, that's interesting. Let me try this and whatever. In that, you're like already attempting to learn something else. So maybe it starts with curiosity and rebuilding that. But yeah, those are two of my favorite things because it gives you a foundation to change if you need to, if you want to. That's how I see it. And like, you can learn horrible things, right? And you can be curious about the worst things. Those are neutral desires that we have. And so I'm just hoping that with that, you're able to pick up things that make you more resilient, make you more courageous, make you more patient, understanding, honest. These are all like characteristics I love. And then the whole art thing, telling you, make shit. If you just make stuff instead of just keep taking stuff in, it'll really help your brain, especially in the world that we live in today. And then the book that I might have referenced last time that I'm going to say, there's two always. My two favorites, three, God. Getting the Love You Want, that's great relationally. That has been a powerful foundation because I was willing to learn. I was willing to be wrong about so many things that I was wrong about, so that I can evolve. And so Getting the Love You Want was really helpful for that. It gave me a path forward when it came to navigating relationships and myself. And then Digital Minimalism, because today, I like, both are super easy to read, digital, and both are also very practical books, because they give you action steps and you just follow it. I'm not saying it's going to save your life, but if you internalize it and instead of just reading the book and be like, oh, that was cool, you have to learn. You got to intake the book. That's how I read. That's why I never finish books. So I'll like read it and I'm like, bet I got to go do this. I got to go do what this is saying. It's saying that I need to do this because clearly I don't know how to do this. So then I start following what the book is saying. So Digital Minimalism will be phenomenal for making you question your relationship with technology, like truly. It gives you a plan, follow the plan, and then you can reintegrate tech back into your life in a more intentional way. That's why I like that book so much. So yeah, it makes you question, like, why do we have Facebook? Why do we have Instagram? And then, like, why do you use it for these ways? And then once you start to answer those questions, you're like, oh, and then you realize, bro, like, I don't, like, Instagram isn't the end all be all. Like, there's so many other ways to do things, right? So just like an example of that. And then the third book that's also an OG book that really helped me, if we talk about the health trifecta of, like, be physically active, eat decently, sleep well. The underrated one that is becoming more popular, Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson. Still my GOAT. He, again, super easy read. It's 21 tips on how to do it. It's all proven, and you will sleep so much better, and then you will become a person that you didn't even know that was possible. So that's like my trifecta. You got the relationships, the sleep, and then the technology relationship thing. That to me is enough. And granted, there's all sorts of books out there and different things, but they're actionable books, and they get you to ask why, and they improve your life if you do it. And maybe you'll start asking why about different things after you go through those books.
Yeah. A beautiful TED Talk by Vattana here. And all amazing things that you can practically take on next. By the way, there's water here if you want to get I'm sorry I didn't tell you that earlier, but there is water there for but yeah, hitting on a lot of great points about acquiring skills, especially if you're developing new goals. You have to change your systems and your habits in order for you to change as a person. But at the end of the day, also, if you're in a rut, understanding why you're in a rut. I think the real question of why and intention is the thing that's going to really help you to really understand yourself. If you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't know myself, it's time to figure out and ask yourself those questions, to sit alone and let those, you made such a beautiful way of saying it, of that extra noise, that judgment on your own thoughts. Because we have the thought, but we do judge ourselves on it. Yeah. And I didn't realize that until you said it. Because like, oh shit, that's why I was in such a dark place, because I was judging myself for having certain thoughts. Yeah. Those natural habit thoughts is who you are as a person. Granted, if it's about harming other people, I think you should really think about that. But it really shows like the type of person that either A, you want to be, or the type of person you are currently. So thank you, beautiful, for all of that. I will put those books down below so that you can check them out. What can I say, man? This is another beautiful episode. And I know at first we started to like go on other tangents and other stuff, but I feel like it really came to a nice, beautiful, full circle in terms of what practical things we can give to other people. And thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for always being vulnerable with me. Thank you for always being honest with me. And just thank you for just being an amazing guest always, and just sharing your wisdom that I think a lot of people can find value in. So thank you, man. And I know, don't worry, you'll be back on at some point.
Yes, I love
We're going to keep talking about all the different topics.
Yeah.
I want to get into a question from the audience. You did have a question from someone.
Cool.
And they asked, as I'm bringing this on my phone. Oh, wow. This is, I'm going to try to ask you to narrow down to one thing.
Okay.
This person asks, what's something new you want to try this year? Something unexpected. As Vattana's thinking about that, I also do want to point out that Vattana is the person that I talked about in my solo podcast that I have these deep conversations with, but he also is a great person of curating community and having these like reflection talks. This is the person that I always have with to keep me accountable and reflecting on my life to make sure I am always on path to where I want to be. Just want to point that out because I know that came into my mind as a solo podcast topic, and he's the reason why that I constantly can be held accountable and reflective. So there you go.
Building a home server. That was unexpected. There's stuff in relation to like data and privacy that combination together, that is what prompted me with the server stuff. And the last piece that is even more unexpected than that as I'm getting more into data, privacy, open source, self-hosting stuff, is I think I'm gonna truly become more of a nerd And like I might learn how to like solder and stuff and like become more like working with things. So that feels unexpected because as I jump into this world for like, I jumped into it for one reason and all these other things started to pop up. And I'm like, it has to do with like being able to not throw things away, specifically technology. So like when people like don't know what to do with something, they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna get rid of this whatever piece of technology, and it's like, because I'm learning more about the software side, I can like keep old things going for a long time, and then on the hardware side, it's like, oh, like I'd love to be able to, which I haven't done yet, is like if I could someday, like that laptop, maybe this will be like foreshadowing, right? When you're done with that laptop, because you will be, because Mac OS is going to say, hey, bro, you don't got updates anymore. And then you're going to get a new MacBook. And then I'm going to be like, bro, that's still a powerful machine. You just don't know what to do with it. So I would either throw some software on it and or remove the parts and then put together like a fully functioning computer that is still really powerful, but now it's just no longer bound to a laptop.
I see.
And then maybe I'll need some soldering skills for that and woodworking skills and stuff. So maybe I will learn to solder because that looks like I might need to do.
It looks like a useful skill as well, especially in the realm that you were going to. All right, Tana, let's get into the big 3 questions. Okay. These are the last 3 questions.
I love how it always feels like the podcast is going to be over, but it's not. I love it.
Well, these ones I know for sure are the last ones. Probably not. Let's see how this goes.
Okay.
But these are the last 3 questions that will leave a lasting impact. Right now, I'm experimenting to see which ones I think will do leave that impact. So it's going to be different every single time.
Okay.
Hopefully. So the first question is, what's a quote or phrase that helps you through time of struggle?
I'm going to give a cop-out answer because my shit's always deep as but I think I just turn to gratitude in general. And I say it's cop-out because I don't really do that anymore because I felt like I used that to run from what I was feeling. And just be like, nah. Gratitude or that. And so if I was feeling discomfort, that was my version of like dealing with physical discomfort. Now I just go through the suffering. There's no exit. So I'm just working through it and I'm letting myself be in like physical distress. And that's really hard. So that's where I'm at today. I haven't had like a pick me up thought. I'm just like, what's in front of me? What am I feeling? That's what I'm doing today. Like for the last like 3 years, I'm just like, oh, I feel this, I feel that. And as I work through that, I feel fine. So I'm not using words of encouragement or anything to work through my discomfort. I'm like, no, I'm uncomfortable for a reason. So instead of trying to run away like I've always done emotionally, I'm gonna try to understand what's going on, give it space, like what I was saying, to just do it. Before even though my shit was positive, I would jump in there with gratitude because I'm judging the negative feelings and be like, gratitude, baby. So that's why the answer is what it is.
Yeah. No, I get it. If I were to reframe your answer, I think it's not Nike, just do it. I think it's you're uncomfortable for a reason, so go attack it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's another way to look at it.
Okay.
My second question is, what's something you can be kinder to yourself about?
I'm generally really kind to myself. However, I've been saying this and I'm pretty dramatic. And not in the traditional way, but I'm dramatic as in I'm grandiose when I do things. And sometimes it could be little, but I have a tendency to want things to be grandiose and like well thought out to a degree, right? And as cool as that can be, and as it can work in my favor in some ways, it can be not great in other ways. In that space as well can create paralysis. And so like certain projects or habits don't get formed or they take significantly longer because I want it to be. And I'm sure people can relate. But my version is just like, because I'm me, whatever that means, I need it to be like this. Even maybe the closest thing is like perfectionism, right? And so that pressure exists day to day. I'm like, why hasn't my website launched yet? why hasn't this other thing got going yet? I'm like, because those things, I want them, I love them, it's part of my DNA, but it's not up yet. And so it's like buzzing, and that's like not healthy for me. So that's something I'm also still working through. It's a part of my DNA, and I do want to embrace and manifest those things, but I'm also trying to accept my current reality that I do like. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I want both, but where? That's that struggle right now of like, oh man, it's okay, bro. You can go slow. You don't have to be all grandiose, and it needs to be super polished or whatever. Yeah. So that's still working through that.
Yeah, just do it. And my last question to you is, if someone is struggling with their self-worth, what is one thing you would tell them?
This is me being grandiose, ready? Because I'm like, I don't have an answer for you, but I'm obviously being intentional and I'm thinking about it, right? Because I want the best answer. Because I only get to say, that's the thing. I take these things very seriously, right? So I'm like, I get to say one thing. That's not real. But in this podcast, it's kind of real that what I say, and if anyone makes it this far and they're watching or listening to this, or if it's a clip, this is the one thing that they get from me. That's why it's grandiose to me. So I'm like, you got to be fire. Yeah, I will almost never choose to be generic or like say whatever. I'm just like, no, it needs to be fire. If someone is struggling with their self-worth, I want to be able to say something that just, is that possible? I don't know. Probably not. But
subjective.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Let's get something to eat. I got you.
Huh? Wait, what?
That doesn't make any sense.
Please elaborate.
Sorry, I was like actually thinking about my friend, right? So I'm like, if someone in my real life, I probably can't do that with you, but if someone in my real life is struggling, right? I would take them out to eat and pay for them as a gesture to be like, well, obviously you're worth it because I'm trying to hang out with you, and don't worry about it. And then it's the phrase like, I got you. To me, feels good. It's like, no, I got you. That phrase, I love that phrase of I got you. That it's like alleviating a concern that might come up or whatever. It doesn't even have to be in the context of what I'm saying, but it's like, nah, bro, I got you. Like, it's one thing to be like, no, I get what you're saying. That's one thing. But in the sense of like, don't worry about it. I got you. I like that. I love that. So that's subjective to me. So then I'm like, food, conversation, free. Hopefully that's like a demonstration that you're worth something.
Yes.
So yeah, I really thought about that.
Okay.
That's what I would say to a homie.
All right. I'll take it. We'll take it for interpretation to what you do. Honestly, the don't worry, bro, I got you. Honestly, probably something they need to hear because they know they have someone in their corner.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, if you liked any part of this episode, please make sure to clip it, tag me and Vattana in it. Again, thank you, Vattana, so much for coming on. And as always, let's fall in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. I love y'all.
Peace.